Are Jordans a good investment? The short answer is yes! That's it everybody, that's the entire video. If you want to get rich quick, just go out there and buy Jordans now. I'll see you later.
I'm just kidding.
What's good everybody, this is CP and you can also call me LP as well, and I hope you're having an amazing day. Today I'm gonna quickly discuss why Jordans might be considered a legit investment and something that you might want to consider adding to your portfolio. In fact, I have actually deep dived into some stats to show you that Jordans might actually yield you some better returns than traditional investments such as real estate, stocks, mutual funds, and bonds. So let's not waste any more time and 走起吧.
Yeah!
So for those unfamiliar with the sneaker market, I'm just gonna quickly give you some stats and some general background just to keep you up to date here. Now, the global sneaker market revenue is valued at approximately 70 billion US dollars and was forecast to reach a value of over 102 billion US dollars by the year 2025. And with so much hype built around sneakers, a very lucrative secondary market has emerged over the years. And this market consists of limited edition sneakers such as Jordans, Yeezys, and other rare collaboration sneakers, which in many cases some of the top-notch ones get sold for many times over their retail price. Now this might be mind-blowing to some, but some experts forecast that the secondary market is actually forecasted to reach around 30 billion US dollars by the year 2030. So in short, sneakers can be considered as one of the fastest growing consumer goods around the world. And in many ways, many see it as an alternative asset class to invest their money in to diversify their portfolio. Mainly because sneakers are not so much correlated with traditional investment assets such as real estate, bonds, mutual funds, and stocks. Now, I can go on and discuss about the potential of Jordans and sneakers, but I think the more practical way to do things is to actually deep dive into the numbers and show you some of the returns that this investment can generate. So let's go! Now, the first sneaker I want to look at are the Jordan 1 trophy rooms. So these released in February of 2021 for a retail of $190. Please keep in mind that I'm using US dollars as a reference, so if you live in a different country, just simply convert the conversions to your country's currency. Basically, the Jordan 1 trophy rooms were a very limited sneaker, and I think the last time I checked it was limited to 12,000 pairs worldwide. So simply put, you can't just walk into a Foot Locker or a Nike store and pick up a pair. Essentially, for those that were lucky enough to get their hands on a pair, they either had to have some sort of connections or got really lucky with raffles. But now, since we're in July and we're 6 months after the release date, we could quickly see how good the return on investment are for these sneakers. So the last time I checked, the price premium for these sneakers are over 1,000%, with an average sale price of over $3,400. Consider how we are only half a year into these sneakers. I think they will continue to trend up as time goes on. That's a huge return on investment, and I'm not sure about other investment class, but I'm pretty sure if you invest the same amount of money in traditional index funds or bonds, you likely wouldn't get similar returns. Now, moving on to my second example, I'll take a look at the Jordan 1 Travis Scotts. This was released in May 2019, so about 2 years ago, and they retail for $175. Now, compared to the last example, these shoes were probably a little bit easier to get, but compared to most general Jordan release, these were actually pretty limited as well. So you had to look pretty hard to be able to get yourself a pair, or you had to have pretty good connections with exclusive sneaker stores to cop yourself a pair. Now, just looking at the average resale price today, if you bought these shoes for retail, you pretty much 10x your money. But keep in mind that when I say the market price, these are in dead stock condition, so never worn and comes in the original box. But that's a topic that I will cover another day. So overall, not a bad return on investment for holding a pair of shoes for 2 years. As I said before, based on the average returns of stocks and index funds, I'm pretty sure they can't compete with the returns on these Jordan 1 Travis Scotts. Now let's zoom out and go even further back in time. So my next example are the Jordan 11 Concords, which released in 2018. And basically, for some background, this is one of the most iconic Jordans of all time. Meanwhile, this shoe wasn't very hard to get. It was a popular shoe that many collectors wanted to get their hands on. And I believe back during that time, it was a very general release. So in simple terms, they had a lot of stock around the world. And if you tried hard enough, you could have easily got yourself a pair. Some people maybe even had to pay $10 or $20 over retail. But if you tried, you got yourself a pair. And as we are now just past the 2-year mark and closing in on the 3-year mark, we can take a quick look at the price of these shoes, and it's safe to say that they have pretty much doubled in value. So let's say if you put 100k down on these shoes during that time, you would have doubled your money to 200k in less than 3 years. Not a bad investment, right? Now, compared to most traditional investments, I would argue that this was an amazing investment. Granted that you kept your shoes in great condition and were able to find sellers to buy them. But the key thing to remember here is that this shoe was actually a general release, so they weren't that hard to get. And if you tried hard enough, you could have easily grabbed yourself a whole bunch of pairs. Out of everything on this list, this might not be the best shoe in terms of return on investment, but who am I to argue for a 2x return? I'll take a 2x return any day. Now finally, moving on, let's zoom out into the 5-year window. I want to talk about one of my favorite shoes of all time, the Jordan 12 Flu Game. So as a collector, this is a shoe that I'll probably never sell because it's my favorite shoe of all time. But in terms of investment, let's see if this generated good returns. Now, funny stories, I'll give you some background. I actually did not buy this shoe on release day, and I heard that people actually were able to find this shoe pretty easily just by walking into a store. However, long story short, I actually bought this shoe 2 years after its release date. Around 2018, I think I paid maybe 50 to 75 bucks over retail. At that time, I felt kind of stupid and maybe I overpaid for the shoe, but as a collector, I had to have it. Now, if we look at the numbers, you might be surprised to see that the shoe is actually selling for around $440. So in simple terms, you're probably able to double your money in about 4.5 years. So once again, not the most profitable investment, but a lot of the time, other investments such as mutual funds and real estate doesn't double in less than 5 years. So if you compare this investment to those, I would argue that this generated better returns in the short run. Now, before you go all in and decide to invest in sneakers, I just wanted to quickly give you a few disclaimers. Number one, not all Jordans are profitable. In fact, there are so many Jordan shoes that come out every week and every month. I would say that about 75% to 85% of the releases will not be profitable. So if you were to heavily invest in those shoes, you might be able to barely break even or even lose money in a lot of cases. And moving on, for the more profitable Jordans, you can't just expect to simply walk into a store and pick up a pair of Jordans that are profitable and will yield you a good return. Simply put, there are a lot of behind the scenes work that needs to be done, which includes connections, filling for raffles, and other market research, which may take hours and hours to learn. So it's definitely not a walk in the park. However, if you do your due diligence and do your research, then I would argue that Jordans are not a bad investment, especially in the short term. And if you pick profitable shoes to invest in, you can definitely beat out the stock market and other traditional investments like real estate. In fact, if you just do a quick Google search, you can quickly see that a lot of people are actually making a full-time living off investing in sneakers. I hope you go out there and kill it today. Yeah. So let's not waste any more time and 走起吧.